is no lyrics to Christmas on the feast of Stephen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to a Christmas carol. No.
Maybe next year. Maybe when we've seen all the Christmas films in all of existence, we can then do TV specials known as Doctor Who Christmas
It's
Carol.
our Christmas special.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 281 of No Bubble Podcast, where we used to generally just talk about Christmas and then realise then we'll have not enough Christmas to talk about. So we pick one thing a year.
You can never get enough Christmas.
And Connor's choice.
Yeah, that did change, but then I thought the nostalgia feels hit me, and I wanted to go back on a certain express, you could say. The Polar Express.
Connor's chosen the 2009 film.
2004. Yeah, it's
2004.
ancient now. It's
Is
nearly
it?
20 years old, not 2009.
Is it 2004?
I was a little toddler. I was almost bigger than Noah when I was watching that film.
Wow.
I know I was a little one, but still taller than an average
2004 film.
Yeah, 20 years old.
Starring
nearly.
Tom Hanks, The Polar Express.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is part of our Christmas pre-record, so for the next 3 weeks, we'll be out of sync. Well, technically for 6, because we've just finished talking about Doctor Who, and didn't really do the news, and we've not really done the news. So in January, after another Doctor Who episode, we'll be doing a big catch-up and moving on in terms of stuff we've missed. So if we've missed any
News of the
important
world,
things,
big roundup. Yeah.
don't worry about that, because we are here as a thing to save ourselves time. Just talk about one thing so that we can put it out at a later date. But the Polar Express. You can lead this one because you chose it. So talk about why'd you pick it, Con?
Why'd I pick it? Because I think you can't get enough Tom Hanks. And when I realised he did 6 roles in this film, I thought, oh, I can't.
Never made a bad film, Tom Hanks.
I
I don't
mean,
think.
I mean, I'm still well behind on my Hanks filmography, but I mean, it's 6 Tom Hanks, but it's also, again, the first computer animated feature film, and it's 6 versions of Tom Hanks, 5 or 6 characters
in
he
terms
voices.
of motion capture.
And then even young Peter Malark from The Hunger Games did the additional motion capture on our protagonist, I think. He was the young boy.
Oh.
The young boy.
Before he was Peter, he was
He was
Tom.
Protagonist.
Protagonist. I'm the protagonist. It's Tenet.
It's Tenet. Just Hero Boy, according to the cast.
Okay.
Tom Hanks as Hero Boy, but then Josh Hutcherson was the additional motion capture on Hero Boy.
Probably for someone the more to scale of the size of a young teenage boy than as he was then, like 50-year-old Tom Hanks.
Just a little bit.
Well, no, because what's he now, like late 60s?
Tom Hanks.
So yeah, it would have been like.
Let's find out.
It would have been like.
Let's guess the age.
Guess the age of Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I'll give you the audience like 5 seconds worth.
68.
You are so close. But which way is it? Is it up or down?
67.
Yeah, 67.
Whoa.
Yeah, 67. Yeah, damn.
So he was in his late 40s. He was 48.
Jesus, that's maths. Yeah, sure.
That's mental.
He was under 50 when he did Polar Express.
I just always think that, like, since the early 2000s, Tom Hanks has just been, getting. Well, he's the Disney grandfather.
He was like 45 when he did Toy Story, and yet, of course, Woody is obviously not Tom Hanks' facial features.
Well, Toy Story 1, he would have been
95, 30,
about 37. Would have been.
Yeah,
Wow.
38. Jesus
Could have been
Christ.
recorded in 94. That's mental.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely mental.
Fucking weird.
It is. But Tom Hanks, fantastic actor. It's like you say, it's weird because it's one of the first like motion captured. Do you know why I was thinking 2009?
Why?
Because it kind of looks similar to Christmas
Another
Carol.
Ebenezer Scrooge thing that he's in.
Another Christmas film. Yeah, it looks.
Yeah.
It looks like of the similar. I don't know if it's the same. Are they both Disney?
Well, no. Polar Express is just Robert Zemeckis.
Robert Zemeckis directed both of them. He did.
Oh, but then Christmas Carol is Disney.
So who's the production behind Polar Express?
This one. Castle Rock Entertainment, Shangri-La Entertainment.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
distributor.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Okay.
Warner Brothers.
I like this film. I think it was a great choice.
Good. Okay.
I didn't see this in the cinema because
definitely
I was about 11. No.
In 2004.
I was 8.
Yeah, I was about 6. I was 6, and as much as we're going to talk about the movie, I have fond memories of the game as well, the PS2 game.
Never played the game. Was the game any good?
it's terrifying. Just like the movie.
Well, it is kind of creepy when you think about it. So,
Especially on a critic point of view. Yeah.
genuine premise, the general premise of the film.
Set on Christmas Eve, a boy that, again, kind of like my tortured adult kindred soul. Does he believe in Christmas? Does he not? On one mystic.
Fucking hell.
Am I trapped in that capsule where I'm thinking Santa's real?
Clara?
Am I a Christmas man, Clara? Yeah, I wonder that every day. But not this year, though. The Christmas songs haven't actually drowned me out. I feel like this Christmas is actually going very smoothly at the minute, because it don't even feel like Christmas.
Because Doctor Who's back. That's why.
I know.
It's
It's a
urging
never-ending
you on.
November. It's never-ending November mentally. Also, the Christmas music haven't drowned my sorrows out, so that's a big plus for 2023 Christmas. Whether the magic will be replicated every ongoing year, I doubt it. I'll go enjoy this year as much as I can, goddammit. But set in the 1950s. I didn't know this movie was set in the 50s.
You don't get that vibe, do you?
No, but on the
But it's
synopsis,
very,
it
very
is in
simplistic from the technology used.
yeah, and I noticed that watching it last night, because I was like, this is very sort of retroized, but not just from a technical when it was made point of view. But I did think this is kind of old fashioned.
I like that because it's kind of timeless, but also removes it
It's a
from
capsule.
modern technology. And he does have, as the conductor, he is that kind of 50s, like that 50s voice,
Yeah,
like the way he talks and his inflections and the way he
Inflection.
does this. I got your tickets, please.
Tickets,
That's
please.
it's very kind of, and it allows him to kind of play like the role in such a way, well, all the roles, because they're all very different, whether they be the conductor, the main character, the narrator, the ghost man on top of the train,
the hobo, according to
Santa.
Yeah, the hobo ghost thing. Yeah,
And saved him money by just having Tom Hanks be everyone, but it's really interesting because it creates sort of another part of, like, I think good Christmas films create a mythos around Father Christmas or Santa Claus that you can believe in. Because I, like, as someone who grew up and enjoyed and loved the Santa Claus with an E film that we talked about last year or the year before.
I think we did last year.
Yeah.
I think it was last year.
That gave me a thing of, like, as a kid, like, oh, that's how he gets into houses without chimneys, because he goes down them and then the chimney forms around him. But this, in terms of how cool that would be, like, imagine if you were the kid that got picked to be on the Polar Express to go and see Santa, get one present, and then you just wake back up at home and you get hot chocolate and have this mad adventure with this crazy conductor, and quite frankly quite dangerous. Like, I don't know how
very, very perilous indeed.
I don't know how the train company got the insurance cover to take that many kids to the North Pole on sometimes where the track just turns to ice.
Right, yeah, because they take that route, one day out of every 365 days a year?
For all millennia.
For all the millennia, yeah,
like
right,
the magic of Christmas.
In that universe.
It would make them just as immortal as as Santa and his elves. If you're judging it off of, if we're trying to make the science of Christmas work.
It is a ghost train. But not in a depressing paranormal. They're
There
all
is a
dead
ghost on
twist.
it. There's a ghost
on
on
top of it, not in it. He's on it.
Sometimes under it. And then it looks like he falls off of it. And it skis down the train.
Ew.
Oh, train skis.
Train skis.
Put that in the Olympics.
God,
Trains aren't skis.
National
Skis
event.
aren't trains.
See?
A train on skis, and you slide it down a hill.
Murder on the Polar Express.
Oh, that's something I'd watch. Mummy on the Polar Express.
Peter Capaldi needs to voice the conductor.
Yeah,
in this version.
Yes, sir. You're relieved
Get your
of command.
tickets.
Get your tickets. Fuckety bay.
Malcolm Tucker.
What? Because it's not a long film. It's like what?
It's about an hour and 40 minutes. Maybe 100 minutes?
Something like that. Yeah. First time you watched it?
Probably around early 2005, I imagine. I mean,
Because I think I got it near Christmas that year on DVD.
it was
to watch.
so November 10th was the US release date. So I imagine it would have come out worldwide, late
So
November.
maybe early January, or maybe even by next Christmas I'd got the DVD and watched it, because I definitely didn't see it at the cinema.
No, absolutely not. I
Is
probably
it a
didn't
film
know what
that
the cinema
grew
was.
on you, or is it just the first time watching it that it's kind of stayed with you to think, let's give this another go, or let's.
Oh no, I watched it like countless. I remember wearing the DVD out over the years. Like, I remember watching. It was like basically the one Christmas film I did watch every year, like almost religiously, when I was, when I was the protagonist in that movie, back when I wasn't in the 1950s. But I was in that movie every year up until Christmas. And then, like I say, the PS2 game was a nice distraction, but also expansion into the world that obviously this is even based on a kid's book, which I didn't realise until last night. It's based on a child's book, like 1980s child's book.
Okay.
But again, it's not a series. It's not a universe or anything that's so interconnected like nowadays. Even again, without diverging, the Kurt Russell Christmas Carol or Christmas Chronicles, is it on Netflix? But again, that's sequel, and then there's this, and then there's this. Everything's got to lead into things. Whereas again, it's nice to have a self-contained one-off story that again, kids' book expanded upon in this feature film, and rightfully, wrongfully, whether has lived through the ages of time, and some of the visuals are a bit perhaps not technically up to par as they are now, and I get some people might watch this on a drunken Halloween night and think, Jesus Christ, what we're looking at, because I definitely had that sense last night as well, / 3 weeks ago when we were recording this. I don't know, it's a good time capsule, but just not from my childhood and Christmas in general, but I think as a film, as we're older, wiser, not in our red suits and white bearded versions of us from the future, but no, it's a good time capsule. It's a good film to review, and I just think it was interesting as a grown man watching it from our perspective now, and not being in that childlike mind where I weren't even thinking about half the things I was thinking about yesterday. But I mean, I wouldn't say I loved it, but I thoroughly did enjoy it, and then a lot of it came back to me as I was watching it, like certain scenes, the way they motion captured and the movements of the characters, like again, the way motion capture works and everything, you can't animate half the stuff and half of the reactions, so it was just interesting watching a fully CG movie, yet you could tell it was people moving, and
it came from a level of reality.
A level of reality, sure. Yeah, it weren't completely far-fetched and into Fantasyland. It was until you got to, say, the hobo on top of the train, where the movie did go into the more mythical side of things, and I started thinking, what is the twist of it? But it's just essentially a boy going on a train that, again, child me wouldn't have gotten, but the fact that he has doubts, and he on that one night he just isn't sure about Christmas, and then this train takes him on a journey, on a spiritual, like, sort of psychological journey in a way. This isn't a thriller, don't worry folks, this is a kids movie. It takes him on a good psychological mental journey, and by the end of it he appreciates the spirit of Christmas and what it actually means to others, and by the end of it he appreciates Christmas for what it is, which I need to tell myself that every year, and it's only once I get to Christmas Eve I feel like a kid again. But no, it's a fun movie. It is a fun movie. Well acted. Again, Tom Hanks plays 6 people. What more do you want from that? Nonna Gay as, like, the main female character. Daughter of Marvin Gaye, which I didn't realise. Also betrayed Z in the Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions. Didn't know that. Peter Scolari as Billy. I'm guessing he's the annoying, like, hey, see, like, I'm the kid from the 1950s. Did I sound like every kid on a sitcom? I'm guessing that's... Yeah, Peter Scolari as Billy. Oh, no, Billy the Lonely Boy. No, he's the character halfway through that. Again, perhaps is in a poorer state than a lot of our families now. And he goes on the train for different reasons, and again finds through friendship and faith that Christmas is a special time for everyone all round. There's no point in being alone. You have to get on the train. You have to celebrate Christmas for what it is, however fortunate you are. Michael Jetta, Dylan Cash, Chris Coppola, Tinashe. Who's Tinashe? She actually looks like the girl. So she must have been the facial capture for the motion capture girl, like the main girl in the film. Jimmy Bennett, Matthew Hall, Eddie Deason. I don't know who half these people are as such. But yeah, I mean, it's a Tom Hanks highlight reel. What more can you say? But no, what were your thoughts, George? When did you watch this, or are you basing it off of memory?
I watched it, I think, late 2005. I definitely had it by that Christmas, and it was one of them films that was really I saw popular in cinema. It's not one that I was able to go and see in the cinema, unfortunately. But like you, I loved Toy Story and Tom Hanks's voice, so that was kind of a sort of a link for me mentally that I didn't even realise about. but like you said, it's weird because it kind of looks like a video game. The way it's CGI'd and done, but the movements are so human, so real. I think the story is very sort of relatable. It's a kid that, he's about, what, 11, 12 years old?
12.
And, doesn't really believe in Santa, and that journey, when he gets, called onto the Polar Express, by the end, he believes. And I like even the fact at the end of, like, the bell that...
he gets given at the end.
The bell that falls off the sleigh, like, because he can't hear the bells because you can't believe, and I think that's such a nice way of doing things.
Yeah.
And then, like, he says he believes and he can hear the bell, and the voiceover at the end is like, even after time, eventually my sister never heard it, but he always heard that bell, like, for all of his life, because after that journey he was never skeptical of it again, and you like to think that he would have passed that down to his kids and his grandchildren and so on and so forth and things like that. And it's just a really nice wholesome thing. Like, it's a fun premise of these kids get taken on a steam train to the North Pole to meet Santa and get a Christmas present early, but you get the whole stuff with the cocoa, the dance numbers, the music, the animation is quite dark when you think that there is like these apparitional spirits and immortal people that like take like a on this train, like driving it, like it's quite dangerous, like it's very set piecey. It's very Zemeckis when you look at it, thinking that 5 years later he directed the new version of A Christmas Carol in a much similar sort of CGI animation style.
But prettier.
Yeah, sort of like a bit sort of textured and more toned up, but like I think Tom Hanks like really sells it. It's a bit strange now thinking as to why he would have been just the he was everyone thing.
Budget, if anything.
But also it's like, is it kind of a sort of metaphor that Santa is all these people, like different aspects, like giving the story to sort of, so that the kid, gets sort of convinced along the way, because it kind of like he goes from being skeptical at the beginning of the journey, like we said, to by the end of it, into his adult life, he's a firm believer in Santa Claus, and the friends he makes, like the other kid characters, like they all interact how kids would as well, and it's kind of strange. Like some of them take it in their stride, some of them are quite shy, because like if you woke up in the middle of the night and forced onto a big steam train, think you're being kidnapped.
Yeah, you wouldn't think happy. Yeah, Santa's gonna I'm gonna meet Santa. Thought you'd think, oh, where am I going, Mummy? Where
are you? But it's very sweet. It's a very simple story, and that's why I think there's not much to say about it other than the fact that it's very sort of well done. Like I think it's well written. I think the voice acting's tight. I think the CGI animation style works wonders.
To sort of go into the point of like, I mean, without trying to rehearse what you just said in my head, but like trying to not analyze the film, but like there was a thing that I read on the way here / last week that essentially the conductor and the hobo character are kind of like the inner thoughts of the main kid, the protagonist.
Yeah.
The conductor is like the spiritual Christmas side and the whole, come aboard, come see Santa. He's essentially the conscious, the Jiminy Cricket of the kid, whereas the hobo is the one that inflicts the doubts. And he's like, what are you doing here on top of the steam train at night? Even he mocks Santa. He doesn't rejoice Christmas. He despises it, and he even exclaims that how he's king of the North Pole, and he just believes Christmas is a bunch of hooey. Him and the puppets before he gets on the roof, and like the Ebenezer Scrooge puppet, who becomes more of a part in the video game and even in the Christmas Carol, which again is convenient. The puppet is kind of like the fear that the kid is sort of having as he's believing that he's sitting on a train going to the North Pole to meet Santa, who part of him doesn't believe in, and that's the part of the hobo character. But again, you can tell it's kind of fictional, because again he does the whole disappearing act on the train, like he's when I tell you to jump, you jump, and he disappears into smoke. Or when the train goes underneath the tunnel and he sees him drinking his coffee, and he sort of fades into his imagination. The conductor, Tom Hanks' character, later on says about how when he was younger, a similar accident happened on a train where an unknown force saved him, but he was okay with not knowing what it was, because the kid sort of says to him like, oh, did you ever see who this man was? Did you ever see who saves you? And he's like, no, but I'm okay with not knowing. But in a typical Tom Hanks voice. So as much as it is kind of like, oh, this is a very random story, a random conductor, and a random hobo, it all, from an analytical, like, metaphorical point of view, the characters are more directly linked to each other than you may have realised when you were a kid. Like, at least I didn't obviously clock onto this when I was like 6 watching this. But like, it was just a good analysis of not just what it is for Christmas and what it means to be human, obviously, but it was just a crazy adventure that, again, it felt like it evolved in his mind. As much as he was going through the motions and it's a script and, you know, he's got to get from point A to point B, it felt like the journey deteriorated and escalated in ways because that's what was going on in his mind, as in the kid's mind.
Yeah.
But the conductor is essentially like the Jiminy Cricket consciousness telling, you know, Christmas is real, you know, this is what's happening, and sort of embrace it. And then the hobo character is kind of like the doubt, the fear, the amalgamation of not just the darker side. He's not the Valeyard, folks, but you know, just the fact that, you know, you're on a train late at night. What are you doing here, kid? Go home disappointed, and don't believe in Santa Claus because he ain't real. But it's just there's certain moments, certain lines in the movie that actually make you think about it as you're watching it. That clocked me and my adult mind, and I was like, it does come together from like a metaphorical, deeper sense, thematic sense, not just this is a random movie where some kid has got to go, you know, give a girl a ticket on a train, and he's almost falling off, and a random stranger. It's not random when you think about it. When you actually analyse the movie, I mean, if you're interested in anything I'm saying, go on the internet, and obviously the internet can explain it in a much better way, but it's a deeper movie than, oh, look, Boy and Christmas. But I never would have clocked that as 6.
Like, it appeals to the, you know, the general nature of it's a kid's Christmas movie. It's something a kid would love to happen. Yeah. And there is, like you say, sort of like deeper lying undertones to it that you get more, like especially at our age now where we're much more analytical of some stuff. Because that's what we do. That's what we do on the internet for you lot. It's, and it does say a lot, and I think it says it well, but it doesn't hold your hand and like, you know, talk down to you and explain it.
No.
But it doesn't just like throw you in and sort of breeze past it. It's done in a way so that as you get older, you kind of see the film in different ways. Like, especially like towards the ending, it's kind of like you're on that journey and like you relive your childhood in like the fun, colourful aspects of, you know, the journey there, the Santa's workshop, the presents, such forth. That appeals to the kid, to you as a kid, and reminisces your childhood when you can watch it again. But you also get, like you say, the deeper meaning and stuff to it.
The deeper moral undertones, a little bit.
Which is a strange thing to do for a high budget, you know, kids' Christmas
movie. Yeah.
But I think did it do quite well?
I think it did at the box office at the time. It's only people on the internet. If you were to go on YouTube and put in the movie, all we get is, why does it look so creepy? Is the Polar Express a horror film? Like, people are just baffled by the visuals. And I get it's a product of its time, and obviously it's the first fully CGI animated feature of its time. So of course it's gonna.
Well, like motion capture, because.
Yes. Sorry, younger Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, please don't come at us. I'm trying to. Production. I want production.
Made 314 million.
Okay, yeah.
Off of a
did okay.
Off a 175 million budget. You also talk about the game as well, because how was that in terms of comparing that to?
So you know how the popular video game movie tie-in where it does bits of the plot, but it also has a bunch of original shit that has nothing to do with the movie. Well, you'd be in luck because this game, I watched like a full. It was like, again, only an hour and 40-minute video, but I watched basically a guide of the game, and again, 70% of the game isn't in the movie, which is ridiculous. But I mean, that's the best thing about video game tie-ins. But I mean, you spend a lot of time on the train. I remember, essentially. Not to quote the plot of the movie, you know, when the girl loses her ticket and essentially he's got to go through one bit of the train to get to the back and get the girl's ticket, and then the whole roof thing happens and blah, 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 blah. Well, the first sort of third of the game is going through multiple aspects of the train to get everyone's tickets. So you had like, it wasn't really a level, it was just one big open kind of level, but each section of the train was like its own sub-level, because obviously this is PS2, this is early.
Yeah, it's got to give it substance, it's got to give it something to do.
So one compartment of the train involved like Jack-in-the-Boxes, and you had to, like, you know, basically defeat the Jack-in-the-Boxes, wind them up before you, because you don't obviously have a gun. It's not it wasn't a third-person shooter. It's not a Rockstar game. You couldn't beat up Christmas presents.
Look, a gun.
Oh look, a gun. Oh look, a boomerang, kids. Oh look, smack bang. Wow, Adam West is here to help save the day. No, there's no power-ups. Essentially, you had to use your smarts, and the Jack in the Boxes were like weeping angels. If you looked away, they would, without hearing them, they would bounce towards you, and then you would turn around and. It was like a fucking horror game for kids. But like you would, have to time it right. You have to wind up the Jack in the Boxes and make sure that they don't pop out and scare you. Coins like Crash Bandicoot, like in the Wumpa Fruit, they were like your health bar, and every like 10 or 15 coins you picked up, they gave you like an extra continue in case you died, in case you were that shit at the game, or in case you just wanted to see children die, you sick person. There's a rhythm section halfway through the train where, like, I'm not the conductor, the fucking engineers, the people actually pumping the train. There's like a Just Dance section where you had to mash buttons on your D-pad in tune to some of the in-game music, and that got the train going through the snow with the deers. There's a couple of levels on the roof of the train where again you had to reach the other end before Tom Hanks and the girl fell off the train and disappear, so you had to, like he does in the movie, before he meets the Hobo Man, he has to basically run on top of the train, jump over the gaps, then there's street lights and posts and beams, and he has to clang on to. He was basically Batboy. He was basically Dick Grayson. He had to hold on to the train, he had to peek out of cover, he had to time it right, he had to jump over things before he would before he would whack off and fall back to the edge of the bit of the train you were on. There's a skiing level where, again, similar thing to the train level, but essentially you and the hobo were, rather than skiing on top of the train to get to the other end of the train, you're essentially doing it off of a hill. But then it's a bit of a weird one, because essentially once you complete that level, you end up back on the train. Between the levels, you had a lot of cutscenes from the movie as well, so they were like the loading screens back then. And then after the movie cutscene ends, then you get back into the game and you just see how different the graphics are, obviously. The level near the end with the presents, like when the kids actually find the arrows, and it's like, oh, we should head that way. There's a whole labyrinth of. That's probably like the biggest open world level, but essentially your friends get, rather than the yellow kid like go and find his present and disappear, one of the characters gets kidnapped beneath a barrage of presents, and then the pipes takes them to like the uppermost corner of the room, and you had to navigate like Crash Bandicoot. You had to platform your way up through pleasance and up through some pipes to get to the girl and basically rescue her from the evil, devious presence. It's just a lot of random levels for a kids game as well. You got everything. You got a dance, you got a rhythm section, you got a racing game. You got to beat them up. It's just a game that covered loads of subgenres in each of its levels. It was weird. Especially looking at it yesterday. It's very, I want to play it. I do want to play it. But again, early PS2 isn't the most prettiest thing to look at now, but Evil Ebenezer Scrooge puppet is a boss.
Whoa.
That looks like a prototype of the later movie Christmas Carol version. It's weird. Oh, okay. But it's a weird game. But it kind of is a mishmash of multiple games at the time.
Voice actors, or?
I think Tom Hanks does the conductor and the Hobo Man, but I think a lot of the cast are just, the Troy Baker of this era and James Arnold Taylor and I think it is stock game voice actors, but it's just a weird product of its time. But I mean, for as far as video game timing goes, it's just unique. Even now, like I've watched it and it's just it's not unlike any other. Especially because it's set on a train, then it isn't, then it is, then you end up in the North Pole, and then you do. And I can't remember how it all ends or what the last level is, but I think that is another form of
something
different. Like it essentially is like a platform and then a beat 'em up, then this and that. It's every game of that decade capulated in one Christmas game. It's weird. So who even made the game?
THQ.
Activision? THQ. I mean, I don't know. Beenox. I'm trying to think. PS2 game.
THQ, I believe.
Oh, fuck me. Yeah. It's on the cover. THQ. Yeah.
And Warner Brothers Games. Yeah.
So essentially, I forgot to mention there was web mechanics as well.
It does feel like a bit of a Harry Potter-esque game, especially with the sort of. It feels like they ported a bit of the Prisoner of Azkaban game,
Engine. It
and
definitely would've
then
been at that time,
like adapted
yeah.
it.
Or even did you ever play like Chronicles of Narnia, the first one?
Not the first one. I played
Prince
Prince Caspian on PS3.
So that was more of an action adventure, like beat them up thing. But the first game was more, you switch between the characters, and they're kind of like bigger open world-ish levels, and you can do this there, go this, and we're proper rambling about games now. But
that's cool, no, because
each
we're talking about the Polar Express as a whole media
each
franchise.
level was its own unique thing. Like that's the platformy present level, I remember.
That was horrifying.
Especially that blurry image, but I mean, it's a platformer. It's every game you want it to be. I think we should bring back the Polar Express. Look at that. That's Scrooge.
Jesus.
Ebenezer, see? Yeah.
So in terms of this, is it a must-have for you at Christmas? Like, because obviously you're not a big Christmas guy.
Spoiler alert, no.
Would
No.
this be sort of, because I know a lot of people have essential films that this is kind of the thing of like, we pick something that we like around Christmas, whether it be a TV special, whether it be a film or something like that, that's kind of become like our own traditions. Like, we'll all sort of watch the same kind of things. Is this something that you would at least seek out every Christmas, or like around the Christmas
I will
period?
definitely going forward. I mean, like I say, I did when I was younger, and then, like I say, life happened, and I kind of just
Rediscovered it.
I subtly got it out. Yeah, I rediscovered it. I've rediscovered my memories of the game, and watching it last night. I'm very intrigued. The 4K I think came out last year or even this summer, but again, it's not. It's a 2K upscale because of all the effects and how it was made.
Then it proves how popular it is that
they've been considered. Yeah.
From DVD to Blu-ray to 4K.
Because I think the Blu-ray is like an old 2006 release as well, and they never remastered or did anything with it since 2006.
Just before the boom of
HD and everything. Yeah, but so I think from what I understand, the 4K is a 2K upscale, which I understand considering how it was made, and essentially they pumped all the money into the original production, and with whatever equipment they had. But essentially, I imagine the 4K and the HDR, extra lighting and detail and shadow textures and everything, I imagine it would look better. I watched it on Now TV on a typical 720 1080 stream, and I mean it was good, but there was parts. I mean, it might just be crazy busy because it's fucking Christmas. It weren't exactly the clearest picture. So then I imagine if you've got the proper setup, imagine the colours would pop on it properly, even if it was a native 4K or not. But Polar Express, for those that are curious, for those that never have heard of it, for those that loved it like me growing up, and you're very similar to me in the sense that, you know what, I actually want to watch the Polar Express, do so, because it actually is a time capsule, and it reminded me of a much happier time in life. No, it was just an interesting movie that I never thought I would have looked at in my mate's room, talking about it as if we're like professional reviewers.
No,
ever really, but it was interesting.
Go seek out the Polar Express if you've not done so already, and also you can get in contact with us
at nerdbiblecontact@gmail.com/North Pole.
Send your letters to Santa, your electronic letters to Santa, and at Pastry across all social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and from us too, because I would say all of us here, but it's just us two.
And Saint Nick.
Have a wonderful Christmas.
Wonderful Christmas, y'all. Merry Christmas, y'all.